With Bundaberg behind us, we're tracking southeast across Hervey Bay towards the Great Sandy Strait.
We're just leaving Bundaberg after a couple days waiting out a big storm.
Hervey Bay is protected from the ocean by Fraser Island, the world's largest sand island. So it's often beautifully calm, which makes it a favourite spot for whales and whale watching. Sailing past Fraser Island with its freshwater lakes and eco-resorts without calling in is hard to do. But to be honest, we just want to get the Great Sandy Strait over and done with.
Do you see the next mark?
Not yet.
It should be off to your right.
The Great Sandy Strait is a channel between Fraser Island and the mainland.
It's a very narrow pass and it can be very shallow, and our boat is probably on the big side of being able to get through this thing.
It's a tricky place to navigate because it's basically a network of shifting sandbars.
We want to go all the way down to White Cliff, wherever that is, and stop there for the night.
We want to get to White Cliff before the sun goes down. If the sun goes down in 3 hours, it's going to be about 3 hours to get to White Cliff. So it's kind of a race against time at the moment.
Even looking at the chart plotter, it's hard to work out which way you're meant to go.
So it's to the right of that catamaran.
No, it's to the left of the catamaran.
The markers are very hard to see. You're looking half a kilometer away for something the size of a beach ball floating on the water.
So it's just to the port of the next island.
Correct.
Okay. 5:15. And I think we got about a half an hour to go.
I don't fancy being out here at night.
It's hard enough to see the markers in the daylight. At night, it'll be impossible.
Think we'll make it?
We're getting close and the sun's getting close.
Sun's getting close to going down, but I can see the White Cliffs. So we can get up there quickly and anchor. We'll be all right. We did good today.
Yeah, we did.
Whew. The anchor's just right up there.
I guess these are the White Cliffs, and the white is sand. Woohoo! We made it! Oh! I hit my knee on the winch or something.
What the hell did you do?
I hit my knee on the winch. There's so many things on a boat to hurt yourself on. Look at it.
Oh my God. We're here. High five.
Yay, we made it.
Last night, we were happy to make it to White Cliffs, but the reality is we're not even halfway through the Great Sandy Strait.
When the tide goes out, you realize just how shallow the sandy straits are. Our dilemma is, when do we go and try to cross what's known as the hump? It's the lowest part of the sandy straits, and we can only get across it at high tide.
Wildflower's keel is 2.1 metres deep, and the set of sandbars known as the hump are less than half a metre deep at low tide.
So, see, that's high tide. That's when we should be crossing the hump, as they call it.
We're going to need the tide to come up at least 2 metres before we can get across it.
High tide's at 5:30 this evening.
Yeah.
And then we have 3 hours of traveling on the other side. That puts us in traveling down the strait in the dark, and I don't want to do that. So we're going to have to cross the hump before high tide. We've got to get over the hump and to our anchorage before it gets dark. So we actually can't wait for high tide. We have to actually leave a little bit before high tide. Just waiting for the tide to come up. It'll be a long way, 6 hours. I wonder how many people get grounded here every year. Quite a bit, I bet. Quite a bit. You think sailing's freedom, but it's really not. It's got so many constraints. You got the tide, the wind, the current, and the weather. The 4 constraints right there before you even untie from the dock. As we spend more time on the water, I miss my motorcycle. I miss riding in the hills. I miss riding twisty roads. I really long to be back out on the road. You're not as free as you think.
No.
You think, oh, I go anywhere I want, I'm on a boat, yeah. It's like, no, you can't go anywhere you want.
It's really hard for Dan to be patient. When he's on his motorcycle, he just goes when he wants. The weather rarely stops you when you're on a motorcycle.
Dan's feeling really anxious. He's feeling stressed about getting over this bar. And rather than wait any longer, he just wants to go. I don't know if it's the right decision.
I'm hoping it's the right decision, though we're not off to a good start.
All right, we got a little problem. Chart plotter downstairs is not working. I'll reboot it and see what happens.
Okay.
This is the trickiest passage on the entire trip, and the chart plotter decides to stop working. I mean, what the hell? I don't know what's the matter with it. Can't get it to work.
Lucky for us, I'm prepared, and we can use one of our 6 other navigation units.
The computer and the Raymarine chart plotter match up perfectly, so we'll just use these 2 and we'll leave that one off. That's why you have backups for your backups. Maxine's on the chart plotter. She's looking at the maps, and the maps are 4 years old, so there's no doubt that the sandbars have moved. So we're just gonna have to feel our way to the hump. Are we online?
We're dead online.
All right, keep me on that line.
Okay, we'll just
39,
that course.
39. The whole thing's just a series of zigzags. Just weaving your way down through here, and if for 1 second you weave too far, too fast, it's done. That's all sandbar right there. It's all sandbar, except for the tide. 100 feet off course, bam, you're done.
Well, we need to go starboard.
Storm's supposed to go starboard.
According to the chart plotter, yes.
For how long, though?
It just kept getting more and more shallow.
I'm not sure where to go from here.
And then the alarm goes off, and I'm thinking, oh no.
Can you see another marker? To the left somewhere?
Give me the binocs. Yes, I do.
Where?
Green, starboard.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, got it.
Yeah. It would be such a disaster to run aground at high tide, because once the tide goes out, the boat will be left sitting high and dry on sand. And then when the tide comes back in, it tends to fill the boat up with water. If we run aground at high tide, we're screwed. 2-1, we're about to hit.
Oh, shit. 2-1 again.
2-1. Shit, we're hit. Hit.
Oh no, not again.